I'm Laura Lee, and welcome to my Booktube channel. I am going today to do the newbie Booktube tag and introduce myself. I've been posting a few videos just for about a month now, very sporadically, no rhyme or reason, and I spent the last week kind of perusing YouTube and Booktube and learning a little bit, and I ran across the Booktube newbie challenge. Thought maybe this is a good thing for me to start and kind of get some focus here. So today I'm going to kind of introduce myself and hopefully maybe connect with a few people, and we'll see how we go. It is September 1st, so I'm looking at September 1st as the real start to my Booktube channel. Before I was just kind of sticking my toe in, and now I'm really going to commit to it and see what I can do. So let's start off. It is September, the first pumpkin latte of the season. So I'm going to start with that while we talk. I really want my channel to be a place where I connect with others and we talk about books and all kinds of books, but let's get to it and we'll address the questions and go from there. So the first question, I do have them written down because I have a tendency to forget things. The first question was, why did you start this channel? So I am in my early 50s. I'm 51, soon to be 52, and I am an empty nester. I have one child in grad school and one in their senior year of undergrad. And over the last few years, since they went away to college, I was trying to figure out what to do with myself. I'm a former educator and teacher, and I didn't know what to do, to go back to the classroom, go back to tutoring, advocate, whatever. I just was a little lost. I actually dabbled in being a home baker for a while. I've done a lot of different things. I tried blogging, and really, I just was looking for something for myself, and I wasn't sure what to do. And last year in 2020, we picked up and moved from the East Coast to Texas, which was a big change. I really love it here, but honestly, I know no one outside of my husband, and he's working all the time at his new job. So I'm taking care of the dog and I'm trying to figure out what to do. I do not have a Texas teacher's license, so that's really kind of out of the possibility. I don't know what hoops I would have to jump through to do that, but I don't think that at my age that's what I really want to do. So I'm in the middle of a midlife renaissance. Back to the question at hand, why did I start the channel? I'm in the middle of trying to find myself and figure out what I want to do, and I love books, and I love talking to others about books, really about anything, but primarily here about books. So that's why I started it. So number 2 is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Well, first thing I think is I'm not the typical booktuber. When I started perusing, most people are much younger than I am. Lots of very intellectual types and fun types and all over the place. There's lots of different things, but I feel like I can bring something a little different. I was not an early reader like most of the people I've seen. I'm definitely a late blooming reader, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into some other questions. And I think my background as an elementary school teacher kind of brings a different element as well. I'm a little goofy, and I love children's lit, so we'll talk about that some too. Number 3, what are you most excited about with this channel? One is to connect with other people, because as I said, I'm living in a new state and don't really know anybody. So that's really important. I love all different kinds of books, so that's another thing, is I want to connect with people that like different kinds of books. I'd like to follow booktubers that are young and into different things, booktubers that are older than me, younger than me. I want to connect with all different kinds of readers that love all different kinds of things and are at all different kinds of stages of their reading journey. So that's really the biggest thing, is about connecting with other people and learning from them. So I took 2 of the questions and I combined them into number 4. And that was, when did you start reading and what book or series got you into reading? So I mentioned briefly earlier that I was a late blooming reader. I was a struggling reader in elementary school. I now know I am a child of the 70s. So ADD, ADHD, that really was not talked about a whole lot where I grew up. So I was just the kid that talked too much and didn't pay attention. You know, at the teachers' conference, they would tell my parents if I would just focus, if I would channel my energy in the right place. Well, we now know at 50, I have ADHD. So I also was a very slow reader. So back in that day, there was a lot of reading out loud, and I was always really embarrassed, and I struggled. We also moved a lot. Another component of this, we moved a lot. So I would spend 1 year half in one school and half in the other. So there were a lot of missing pockets to my education. And one that I really struggled with was phonetics and stuff. And I was embarrassed and I never saw myself as smart. So I always thought of reading as something that smart people did, and I kind of stayed away from it. And it says, what book or series got you into reading? Well, that kind of the last question leads into this is, later in life, I decided I wanted to be a teacher, and I really wanted to teach little kids, and I wanted to give kids a different experience than what I had. So it was during my time in teacher education that I really fell in love with reading, and I really realized, okay, I am smart. I can read well, I can talk about what I read, and I can understand a lot of things. But the big thing that really set me off was a children's literature class. And I asked myself, I went to my bookshelf, I'm like, what really set me off? And I remembered these two books, and I couldn't even really remember what they were about, but they were part of the class. And one is Clover by Dory Saunders, and another one by her is Her Place of Her Own. And these two books, I think, were the ones that I really saw that reading and books are about stories and connecting with the characters, and it changed everything. That children's lit course changed everything for me. Well, when I graduated, I started teaching, so probably what really lit me up as a reader was all children's lit. It's really where I got excited. So all the things that other booktubers talk about, like their love of reading from when they were in their childhood, Judy Blume, all of that, Roald Dahl. I have the same books that lit me up. It just did it a couple decades later when I was becoming a teacher. So I do have a deep love and appreciation for children's literature. And then after I took a break from teaching to spend some time with my kids, and my husband was traveling a lot, that's when I really got into, I started with women's fiction, probably what you would call beach reads and that kind of thing. And then I slowly progressed into other genres and classics and that kind of thing. So that leads to the next question. Why do you love reading? I love reading. Because of what it did for me, and because of what I've seen it do for other people, children that I've worked with. When that light comes on and they realize that they connect with the piece, with the literature, and it gives them a way to look at the world differently. They can see other people's lives. They can see people like them and not feel so alone. Reading is amazing. It's everything. And I'm now at a stage in my life where I can spend a lot of time reading and really diving into it. The other thing is I just love learning. I love learning about different people. I love learning about fictional characters, non-fictional characters. I love self-help books, all of that stuff. I really do. I love reading. I love learning everything, all things education and growing as a person, not just early childhood education, which is where my education is, but all through life. I'm a big proponent of we need to be lifelong learners and readers And that's what's going to keep us young and keep us going. So that's my gush over reading. So now let's go to question 7. What questions would you ask your favorite YouTubers? I would ask them to tell me stories. I'd want to know, like, what was your first video like? Now when you watch it, what do you think of it? What was the best day you've ever had as a booktuber, and what was the worst day, and how did you get through it, and how did you change things, and how have you grown through this experience? What beautiful things has it brought to your life? What stressful things has it brought to your life? All that kind of stuff. I would really want to just know about them and how this experience has helped them as a human and how they've grown from it. All that kind of stuff. I'm a real touchy-feely kind of person. Number 8, what challenges do you think about starting a Booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Well, that's pretty easy. Consistency and attention, because those are my weak spots. I get lots of ideas and I have a hard time following through. I am easily distracted. If you saw the movie Up, where the dog is like, squirrel, squirrel. My husband likes to make jokes. He says butterfly for me though, because I get distracted by the butterflies. So I will be in the middle of something. We could be having a conversation and something will pop in my head or in my vision and I'll be off on a tangent. So I'm really going to work hard on that. I'm also going to work hard to kind of set a schedule and stick to it, which is also not my strong suit, but I'm going to work on that. And the posts that I've done so far clearly show that has not been happening, but hopefully starting in the month of September, we will see a change in that. And I'll start to get a reliable posting and sharing schedule. Wish me luck. Let's see. Where do you read? Oh, everybody says the same thing. I read everywhere. I do read everywhere. But I thought I'd give you my top 3. So my first favorite place to read is outside. I love to read in the yard. I love to read in a park. There's something about being outside. I love nature. And being able to I could spend an entire day floating in a pool, next to a pool, reading books. And I would be so happy. Throw in a nice cocktail with that and you would never have to bother with me again. I would be great. My second favorite place is my reading chair. And I have 2 in this house. I have one in the family room. It's a big comfy chair in the corner next to a beautiful window. And then I have one in the corner of the bedroom. It's not big and comfy, but it's tucked next to a window and has a great view of outside. And there's just something cozy about both of those spots. I like to be cozy when I read. And then the third place is the bathtub. I am definitely a bathtub reader. My husband, for Christmas, got me one of those little loungy pillows and one of the things that goes across the bathtub and holds your books so you don't get it wet, and a place to hold my wine, which again makes it fantastic. So that's a little bit into my vision of reading life. And 10 is, what kind of books do you like to read? I read lots of stuff. Probably the easiest thing to say is what I don't read. I don't read horror. I internalize things really well. I don't like horror movies. I don't like any of that because it stays with me. Like, other people will watch it and move on. I'm thinking about it. It wakes me up in the middle of the night. That's not my thing. My first and foremost love, like I mentioned earlier, is children's lit. Everything from picture books to YA. I have a huge library from my classroom days, as well as from my children's books. I've saved them all. I can't throw away a book. It's just almost physically impossible for me to do that. So I have stacks all over the house. That's something I have a project in my head that I want to work on that may be intertwined into this whole Booktube thing. But I also love historical fiction. I love that. I love self-help and growing as a reader, growing as a person. I love books on education. I love books on parenting and child rearing. Fiction. I love story. So it's really a just love story. The one thing that's been interesting over the last year or so, I've never considered myself a mystery or a psychological thriller kind of reader, but a friend, I was on vacation with a friend and she was reading The Silent Patient and she kept talking about how good it was. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I was like, that's not really my thing. I'm so glad I read it. And that was kind of an awakening for me, is you read everything. Don't not, other than people getting their guts thrown out. I read everything now. And even things that I don't think I'm gonna like. Sometimes I'm right, but sometimes I'm so wrong. And I've read a couple thrillers since then, and I actually really like them. I think they're fun, and I love the whole twisting part of it. The other thing is I like a physical book is my favorite. I absolutely love a physical book. I don't like reading on the Kindle or the computer or anything like that. It hurts my eyes. It just doesn't feel right to me. But I also love audiobooks. And it was funny because I always thought that was cheating, but it's not. It's still story. And I do love that, which helps me, like if I'm cleaning the house or I'm cooking or I'm walking the dog or working in the yard, all those, I can still get a book in just another way. So I've fallen in love with that. But my preference is always to read a physical book. But I wouldn't turn away an audiobook either. So, and then the last thing, booktubers that I like. So like I said, I am so new to this. I don't really feel like I have a good grasp, but I have been searching over the last few days, last week or so, really listening to other people. And there are two that I came across that I really liked. I subscribed to their channels, and I'm going to be listening for more and subscribing to more over the weeks to come, because I'm really hoping to connect. They were Books Like Whoa. I love that name, first of all. She just has this great personality. I really like it. She reminds me of somebody I used to teach with years ago, and maybe that's why I feel kind of connected to her. And then Enter the Book was another lady I stumbled across, and a booktuber, and she is of my generation, and I listened to her newbie video, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're so much alike. And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping to find other people that just love books. Not necessarily like me, but that I can connect with. We can have a good conversation. My channel will probably be mostly positive. I don't like getting nasty about anything, because even a book that I don't like, somebody took a lot of time and a lot of hours to put it together. I'll probably be more likely to say, it's not really my cup of tea. Here's who I think might like it. That kind of thing. Definitely will be more on the positive side is what I'm hoping for. And I hope to meet lots of new people and hope to be consistent and not get distracted. So it was great getting to meet everybody, and hope to see you again here at my channel, Laura Lee's Bookshelf. And you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, and you can find me on my website. I will post all those links down in my description, and I will start using descriptions. I have learned that I need to put descriptions and tags and all those great things. Just bear with me. I'm old. This is all new. Have a great day, and thanks for stopping by.